There's this phrase that's been bouncing around the internet for a while, romanticizing your life, and I want to share my 2 cents on the topic because I think this is such a good way to connect deeper with your feminine and just live a more joyful life. Hey friends, welcome back. If you're new around here, my name is Jills and I talk about all things feminine energy, self-improvement, and wellness for women. So if that's something you want to learn more about, be sure to hit the red subscribe button below, as well as the notification bell so you don't miss when I put out any new videos. Now, if you're a regular around here, you'll probably notice that I'm not in my usual setup. I'm actually back visiting in California, which is where I'm from, and I'm going to be here for a few weeks. So I'm currently filming in my mother-in-law's guest room. So the next few videos are probably going to look a little bit more like this and probably be a little bit more casual and laid back. But in today's video, I want to share 6 simple ways that I romanticize my life. But at the end of the day, at least for me and in my opinion, I think that romanticizing your life is really just all about being in the present moment, really being fully in that moment and feeling the joy and the simplicity of all that. And not only that, but bringing back your attention to you and your needs and adding more meaning to your life and adding more meaning to every little thing that you do throughout the day. And all of this is very feminine, and that's why I love this trend of romanticizing your life or having main character energy or whatever you want to call it, because it really helps you to tap into this side of yourself. And the things that I'm going to be talking about today, the things that I do, they have all made a massive impact in how I feel, how connected I am to myself and my own feminine energy. Some are bigger things, some are really small, but all very simple that you can do too. So let's get into it. So one of the biggest ways I started romanticizing my life, and I think this is honestly the most important, was practicing mindfulness. Because when you start to become really mindful and grounded into the present moment, you realize that wonder is everywhere and can be in everything, even in the most simple, mundane parts of your day. Mindfulness is something that I've been working on for years and years, and naturally I am very prone to overthinking and anxious thoughts and all those kind of things. So when I started practicing this regularly and being more cognizant and aware of this, I started to see the world differently. Everything was just a little bit sweeter. And after working on this and trying to be more mindful and present in everything I do, there was this moment probably about 4 years ago where I was on a walk, and I won't forget it because when I was on this walk, I felt a deep sense of joy and gratitude. And there was nothing special going on in that day, just a totally average run-of-the-mill day, but I felt an immense feeling of joy because I felt like for the first time I was really taking in all of the beauty in that simple moment. I felt the sun on my skin, I breathed in the fresh air, I admired the beautiful flowers, I noticed every little single blade of grass. And I hadn't looked at life that way until I think that very moment. But I realized that if my simple little walk was this nice, I had the ability to make everything in my life more special, more meaningful, more beautiful, more romantic if I was just more mindful and present in those moments. That opportunity was there. I just had to start shifting my perception. So often we're caught up in our heads, or we're thinking about work, or we're multitasking and doing way too many things at once. And once we have 5 minutes of free time, we instinctually just grab our phones and start scrolling. We've become so disconnected from the present moment and the actual world that we're living in. If you struggle with mindfulness, obviously things like meditation and reading books on the topic, that can be really helpful. But if you struggle with this, one thing that you can do immediately to make all those tiny little moments more meaningful, more special, more filled with wonder is to really bring awareness to all 5 of your senses. How does that warm water feel against your skin when you're doing the dishes? When you're on a walk, when you look up, what do you see? What do you see in the sky and the clouds? When you drink your morning coffee on the patio, what do you hear? When you're eating your breakfast, what does it really smell like? What does it fully taste like? Fully engulf yourself into these senses and notice those little moments of wonder throughout your day. That mindfulness, that presence, that gratitude, that will drastically impact the way you perceive your own reality. The next way I started romanticizing my life was that I stopped saving nice things for only special occasions. And I used to do this all the time with my clothes or accessories. I would get something new that I was really excited about, that I loved, but I never wore it because I was saving it for some fun occasion or some fun event, or I was just too afraid and I didn't want to ruin it. Or if it was something that was more of like a trendier item, I'd wait too long to wear it and then I wouldn't really like it anymore, or it'd go out of style. How many times have you bought a fancy bottle of wine and then realized a year later that you haven't even opened it yet? Or how many times do you hesitate to light the nice candle in the living room because you don't want to use it up? I've realized that every day is a day to be celebrated, and you can turn even the most simple, mundane days into fun ones and special ones by wearing that new dress, or wearing those fancy earrings that you have, or eating your dinner on the nice plates. You are the creator of your own life. You can choose to create joy and excitement even when things don't always seem that way. And again, this goes back to mindfulness, because all we have is the here and now. So take advantage of it. Wear those shoes that you never wear even though you love them because you're afraid to get them dirty. Instead of waiting for a special occasion to come, think about it differently. Create that special occasion for yourself. You can decide to turn your totally average normal day into a special one. The third way I romanticized my life was I brought hobbies back into my life again. You know, when we become adults, we kind of get caught up in work or family or other errands and other responsibilities, eat, sleep, repeat kind of life. And any free time that we do have, we spend it sometimes on our phone or watching The Office for the 6th time. But in the past year or two, I've really started to incorporate hobbies back into my life again, and it has made my life so much more fun and fulfilling. Ever since I was little, I always wanted to ride horses. I love animals. I always wanted to do it, but never did. And, last year I moved from California to Tennessee, and Tennessee has lots of space, lots of animals, lots of stables, and horse riding is a pretty big thing out there. And so I thought, you know what? I'm out here. Now's the time. I'm finally gonna do it. And I love it. It brings so much joy and fulfillment into my life, and I get to work on something and grow at something and be consistent with something for pure fun, not for work, not to make money, but just to enjoy my life. So what things can you do outside of work, outside of the hustle and bustle of life that make you more you? It might be painting, it might be writing and making a blog, it might be gardening, it might be yoga. Think about all the things that you used to love as a kid, and think about all the things that you've always wanted to do but haven't done yet. Having those passions in our life adds so much vibrancy and romanticism to your everyday life, and it's such a good reminder that your passions, your joy, it's important, they matter, and it should not be put on the back burner. Next, something that I did that everyone can do too in their own little way is that I didn't forget about the little things. So what do I mean by this? There are so many tiny little extra things in our life. They're usually like small purchases that we can add to our life that bring us so much benefit. Maybe things like flowers or candles or whatever. Now, of course, these are just kind of like items, you don't need them, but sometimes it's worth it. So for me, I have a hard time kind of winding down at night sometimes and shutting my brain off. And so there are two things that I incorporate that I purchase because they are worth it for me for winding down and getting a better sleep. So that is a 100% organic lavender candle that I light every night, and then a massive bag of Epsom salts that I get from Amazon. And these two things, they're extra purchases. I don't need them. I can absolutely live without them, but they add a lot of benefit to my life and make my nights way more special. Another thing that I like to get occasionally to make my days just a little bit more special is fresh herbs, like fresh dill or fresh basil instead of using just dried spices. I really enjoy cooking. I enjoy eating healthy, and that's a really high priority in my life. So getting these fresh herbs is worth it to me sometimes because it makes my meal so much tastier, much more nutritious, and it just feels more luxurious. Maybe one of your little things is fresh flowers or oils for the diffuser, or that fancy tea that you like. Now, a lot of these things, like I said, they are extra purchases, nothing that's really too expensive, but they are extra purchases. So you kind of have to decide what's worth it to you, what adds real benefit to your life. There's been this huge push toward minimalism for a while, and I really tried to embrace that a few years ago, and for the most part, it was really beneficial. It helped me, but in my opinion, sometimes it can be taken too far, and your life can get a little bit dull. We get kind of so caught up and obsessed with getting rid of things and reducing the clutter and having as little things as possible that we also get rid of the things that bring us joy and that bring us value into our life. Even if it's just that cute little yellow coffee cup that you don't need, but it's cute and it makes you happy and it makes you smile in the morning. Decide what little things are important to you, which things are worth it to you, which things make your day feel a little bit more special. And don't feel bad or guilty for wanting to incorporate these into your life. The fifth way I started romanticizing my life is I became more intentional with my time. And I don't think this is something that most people equate with romanticizing your life, but let me tell you why I think it does and why I think it's important. To me, romanticizing your life is living your life to the fullest, not holding back, prioritizing joy, prioritizing your passions. When you really intentionally focus your day and focus your time on aligning with this, then your life becomes so much richer. So I have this big calendar on my desk at home, and at the end of each day, I take my marker and I cross off that day on the calendar. And to me, this is just a reminder that life on this earth is not forever. And I think that some people might think that that's morbid, but to me, I think it's beautiful. Every day is a new opportunity and we don't have endless days. And so I try to be very intentional about what I spend my time on, who I spend my time on. And I'm constantly checking in to make sure this aligns with who I want to be, what I want to achieve, what I want to do in this lifetime. So ask yourself, are your days just floating by, or are you truly living each day to the fullest? When you live each day with more passion and purpose, your life becomes so much more abundant and beautiful. And lastly, a very simple way that I romanticize my life is by adding in music, kind of adding a backtrack to my life. Music can make every experience more powerful, more emotional, more pleasurable, and it can really change the way that you feel. Think about a movie. The music in a certain scene can make a big difference in how that scene feels and the vibe that it gives off. And it can be the same with your life. When I'm doing my yoga at home, if I put on just some ambient music in the background that's relaxing and soothing and beautiful, it adds a much deeper level to the whole experience. For example, how do you feel when you see and hear this versus this? The change in music creates a vastly different energy and fosters much different emotions. When I have to clean my house, just taking 5 seconds to turn on my speaker and play one of my favorite playlists, it makes just the simple, boring, mundane task so much more fun. I get to sing and dance along. When I'm working on these videos, when I'm trying to think of new things to talk about or write down my outlines for these videos, it really helps me to play binaural beats in the background or some sort of non-vocal type of music to really spark my creativity and get my ideas flowing. It makes the whole experience so much more pleasurable and really helps me a ton in kind of getting things going. So even in the little mundane parts of your day, think about the experience that you want to create for yourself, and adding music, adding a backtrack, can help you get there. Romanticizing your life, it doesn't have to be difficult, and in fact, I think it's actually really simple. But at the end of the day, you deserve to live your life to the fullest and squeeze as much joy out of each moment that you possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it valuable, don't forget to hit the like button. They are free and they really help to support me and spread the messages that I am trying to share. Thank you for watching until the very end. I appreciate you. Maybe go check out these videos right here if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!